Zero Season 3, Episode 48, coming at you live if you're on YouTube or Twitch. Not live, but also awesome if you're listening to us in podcast form. We appreciate you, no matter how you consume our show and get to engage with us and have a good time. Thank you for being here. I looked at this and said, Episode 48. 48, there's only 52 weeks in a year. There's no way we're already on Episode 48 this year. We are. It's the end of November. People, where's it going? I'm your host, Brandon Davis, joined today by Jamie Jirac.
Good morning.
Good morning. We got Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody.
We got Aaron Perrine.
What's going on, y'all?
Not much, but a lot at the same time. There's always a lot. You know, sometimes I'm like, what are we going to talk about today? And then there's a lot to talk about in the Marvel world. Before we get started on the Marvel news, which is going to take the bulk of today's show, we also are going to do some WandaVision theorizing. We're back. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I want to thank everybody for the Spotify Wrapped tags they're showing on social media. Somebody listened to Phase Zero for 3,555 minutes this year. First of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, thank you. No, seriously, thank you so much for listening to our show. It's really cool to see that. And I always bring this up, whether, you know, it's these moments where we see you guys watching our show on your television screens. And it seems the more and more I say it, the more and more people are showing us that they do that, which is crazy to me. But also, those are the moments that make me this feels even more surreal than it is that we get to sit here and talk about Marvel with you all, with people who actually care and listen, but also the messages we get, the comments we get. I want to say to everybody who listens, like, thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to bring some joy to your day. It means the world that wherever you are in the world, whatever you're going through, and no matter how much you love Marvel, you're frustrated with it, you show up here and you listen to us, and we get to talk back with you in the ways that we can. And I really appreciate every single one of you guys who share your appreciation and just the fact that you're here listening to us on Phase Zero, and we get to kind of be that source of Marvel news and hopefully some fun for you. It means a lot. So thank you for that. And maybe someday we'll all get to hang out and have a beer together and talk about Marvel in person. That's my goal. I still want to do an Infinity Saga rankings episode in person someday. Wait, have I never said that on the show before? I don't think that was.
I feel like I've
blend together.
I've heard it so many times that I was like, yeah, go for it. Sure.
Breaking news. I'm trying to put together a show in 2024 where the four of us get together with a live audience and do our Infinity Saga rankings, because that seems like the episode people keep asking for. And it's one that I have resisted because I know people are going to talk so much trash about no matter what we say.
In person.
Yeah. We're also going to arm everyone in the audience with tomatoes. So we could just go from there. But yeah, so I just long-winded. We're coming towards the end of the year. You know, you start to feel it a bit. Oh my God, we're doing it again. Thank you so much. And also, we're trying to do weekly bonus episodes now. So every Friday, we're trying to get some bonus episodes out there. Most of these will also be on video. So on the YouTube channel, on Twitch. This Friday, there's a bonus episode. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm headed off to Brazil tonight, which is insane. I'm going to CCXP. So I'll bring you any social content that you guys want to see there. Let me know. But on Friday, there's a really cool bonus episode that I'm going to be listening to. Jenna, can you tell everybody what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so in January of this year, we all went around with Nicole Drum, who I'm going to invite on, and we did MCU predictions. We basically just talked about various like off-the-wall things that we thought might come true in the franchise. So now we're going to go back. We're going to listen to those. We're going to see what ended up being true, what ended up not being true. I was kind of combing through the footage yesterday, and it's kind of hilarious how some things did become true. And then we're going to try to make predictions for the new year. So it should be just a nice little end of the year thing.
I can't believe we're already at the point where we're looking back at the 2023 predictions. So still to come this year, that episode Jenna just mentioned, we're going to do Disney Plus show rankings. We're going to do 2023 rankings, and we're going to compare those with our anticipation rankings. Like half of our anticipation rankings didn't even release this year. But I know mine ended up, Quantumania was not as high as I thought it was going to be. So, all right, that's our little housekeeping to start the show. You're not here for the housekeeping. You're here for Spider-Man. We all know. Spider-Man 4 got a whole bunch of updates about when it's happening, what is happening in it, all kinds of stuff. And this is coming from places like Heavy Spoilers, Daniel RPK, My Time to Shine, scoopers, and people who are correct often enough that we refuse to not acknowledge the things they've said. And we love Heavy Spoilers, friend of the show, by the way. And if you're not watching Heavy Spoilers, you're lying. Yes, you do. Everybody does. But so Spider-Man 4 has tons and tons of updates going around, floating around, lots of rumors, lots of reports. And we're going to run through some of these. First of all, Venom and the symbiote going to be saved for Secret Wars. Spider-Man 4 is not a story that's going to involve Venom or Eddie Brock, is how the story goes right now. Now, all of this, of course, I say take it with a grain of salt, because there was a version of Spider-Man 3 that had Kraven the Hunter and filming in like Greenland and Iceland and all this stuff. And then a whole global panoramic happened, and all of a sudden the stars aligned and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in the movie. That wasn't the original plan for Spider-Man 3. So this could all change. But Venom being saved for Avengers Secret Wars, the black suit, I assume it's going to be something where, you know, Spider-Man's going to have to get a little stronger to beat some villains or something, debuting the black suit as it was in the Secret Wars comics from the 80s. I think I'm fine with that. I'm not in a hurry with that. That seems like the sort of storytelling that Phase 1 and the Infinity Saga used to do. How do you guys feel about that?
It feels inevitable in a way. I don't know. Everyone's shook. Like the black suit has to be in Secret Wars. It is one of the few things with that movie where, like, if they don't adapt this in some capacity, I'm genuinely going to be disappointed, because that feels so intrinsic to what Secret Wars is. I'm also just happy at the prospect of more Venom, because I'm the #1 Venom defender on the show, and it seemed like Tom Hardy said on Instagram the other day that this Venom 3 might be the last Venom movie. So I like the idea of possibly seeing him in Secret Wars, but I don't know. It feels obvious.
I agree. Anybody else got anything on that? There's 4 pieces here.
I will say that it's not a big part of Hickman's Secret Wars, though.
But we know they're going to adapt some of the original stuff. Like the iconography of the original, they are going to like bend over backwards to try to put in live action. I can say that without a doubt.
I see both your points. I have thought the same thing, because when I think Secret Wars, I'm not going to lie, I originally think of the 80s comic, but I recognize they're certainly telling more of the story from Hickman's more recent Secret Wars.
Can I blow your mind? I don't think about either of the two. I think about Spider-Man animated series. Literally, that's what I think of. It's the best adaptation of it. Oh well. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. Well, I do believe this is what's going to happen. I don't think the symbiote is going to be a part of any MCU stories until that moment in Secret Wars, probably. And that brings out the fact that Venom was not immediately a story when the symbiote was introduced in comics. That in movies, it's always Venom right away. You know, that this could just be a longer story where it's hard to imagine it. Maybe because I don't think Tom Holland is sticking around forever. But the word on the streets is that they want another trilogy with Tom Holland. So if they are in fact going to get their way, and we all get to the massive W that is another Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland, and if it doesn't have Miles Morales becoming a part of it, I will lose my mind. But if that's true, I do think we could see Venom in maybe Spider-Man 5 or 6, way further down the line, and not just immediately as soon as it becomes a factor. Spider-Man 4. This is the reason why I'm choosing to believe all of this. Because I'm an optimist, and I hope this next piece of all this news and rumor and speculation is not just that. I hope it's fact. Spider-Man 4 will ignore the Morbius post-credit scene. This is why we can have nice things. We can. Get rid of it. Honestly, if Morbius ever ends up on Disney+, Disney, I ask you this. Just delete the scene. Take it off the movie. Vulture and Scorpion are going to be the villains among the villains in Spider-Man 4. The Morbius credit scene never happened. Michael Keaton will be there. There is no reason to have to wonder how he got Chitauri Tech in a different universe where the invasion of New York never actually happened. Please let this be true. Please, I'm begging.
Michael Keaton is my man. I'm so excited for Michael Keaton.
For the listener, just in audio form, Jamie just presented her Michael Keaton action figure.
Not Batman.
No, it's Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Wow.
So I'm happy about this.
This would be great news. The Morbius credit scene was just stupid. Stupid. I felt like spelling it would emphasize my point enough, and I still don't think my point was made. I hate that scene. I think it's stupid.
I love you, Lydia. We love you, Layla.
Yeah, Layla she's just on an island defending Morbius in the chat right now. So many stupid things in comics just happen and they never get addressed ever again. And so this is one of those things that I could absolutely see happening.
It was another universe. That was a variant of Michael Keaton's Adrian Toomes from a completely, that wasn't the Earth 616 or 199. That wasn't the Toomes that we saw in Spider-Man Homecoming. That was Adrian Toomes of Earth 3496714. XY2 over there. It wasn't ours. It's stupid. Spider-Man 4 will release before the next Avengers movie. That's another part of these reports. It will not be a multiverse story. So I think that's great news. I don't need Spider-Man 4 to be a multiverse story. I just want Spider-Man in New York. That's all I want. I'm down for Tom Holland as Spider-Man, trying to figure his life out with having lost all his friends. A non-multiverse story, I think, is great news. And before the Avengers movie, I think is so important. I think we need more sequels and check-ins building up these characters before Secret Wars, not just more characters introduced and not followed up on. And I know I complain all the time. We're going to get it. But please give us... this is great news. This is great news.
Can I just say something, though, before... is that this is why I get frustrated with people, because there needs to be more setup for the eventual conflict. But if we're just going to hang out with Peter and eat cheese pizza on the side of the skyscrapers, when are we ever... you can't really have too many of these things before Secret Wars not have anything to do with any of it. I have no problem. Although I would like to point out there are 5 whole movies of Peter Parker swinging around New York doing stuff without any other stuff going on. Some of them feature Andrew Garfield. I know people miss him. I know people are wondering what happened to our boy. He's somewhere singing right now or fighting off Ariana DeBose.
In Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm pretty sure he was swinging through like a rural neighborhood in New Jersey. In Spider-Man Far From Home, he was going on a European world tour.
I defer to your expertise on New Jersey because you lived there longer than I did, 100%. And I guess for Homecoming, they do spend a little bit of time in DC. But yeah, like I'm talking about the other movies before Tom. There's all that where he's just on the ground doing stuff. He been to space. How are we going? Anyway.
The one thing that I will say is like, and I this is why I've wanted Spider-Man 4 before Secret Wars, like for a while now, is because nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Like we still haven't really explored the idea that like Spider-Man exists in this universe and like none of the other Avengers have any idea who he is. And so if we get that at all in Spider-Man 4 leading up to Secret Wars, I'm totally fine with it.
I hope I was smart enough to say that this was coming before Secret Wars on that darn prediction show. I pray. It's been something I have beat the drum on, and if I did not say it and I don't get to say it on Friday, I'm going to be real
You'll
mad.
find out on Friday.
I need to see on Friday.
I definitely think Spider-Man 4 will come before Secret Wars. I just hope it comes before Kang Dynasty as well. If Spider-Man's a part of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'd like to see a little meet and greet of Spider-Man with all like give me that cameo. Just like, hello, nice to meet you. I'm Spider-Man.
Well, wait, they remember Spider-Man, right?
They do,
yeah,
but they don't.
But how much of but that's the thing, like how much they remember like just fighting him in Germany, like when else did like he was just around, but like all the times they've spoken to him, hasn't he been Peter Parker? So like how much memory do they really have? They haven't really chatted with the man.
How dare you bring logic into this? How dare you?
I'm so sorry.
Well, we think since Spider-Man 4 obviously is going to come out a good distance behind Kraven, Madam Web, and Venom 3, and the kind of biggest rumor surrounding all of this is that Spider-Man 4 is going to merge the Sony Spider-Man universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff with Tom Holland. I have trouble accepting this one with any actual shred of truth. I know Sony still owes Marvel a Spider-Man appearance in a non-Spider-Man movie, and it sounds like they're working on a deal where Spider-Man will get another solo film, which will then in turn, if the deal stays the same, result in more Spider-Man appearances in other Marvel Studios projects that aren't called Spider-Man. So it's hard to imagine which project they're saving the Spider-Man appearance they already have for. But I don't think, I just have trouble thinking that Kevin Feige is going to take Venom, take Kraven, take Madam Web, and put them as a part of the MCU in any way. But also, if Sony goes and pulls Spider-Man out of the MCU, I have trouble imagining Tom Holland wanting to do that after all the effort he made to to fix the divorce and get them married again, and then just going from that. So I don't really see those movies being a factor in Spider-Man 4.
I agree. I think if anything, it'll be some like very weird cameo akin to Venom being in No Way Home of like, oh yeah, you're here. Like I think if anything, all of that's going to tie into Secret Wars, but we just don't know what capacity beyond the Venom of it all.
Yeah.
The only way to work these things together that makes sense is just oblique references to the Web of Life and Destiny or Miguel O'Hara's Cursed Tree. That's it. Those are the only ways we don't need them to even physically show up. Don't even do it. We got enough stuff to cover without their shenanigans.
Jenna, are you familiar with the Chosen One stuff that goes on?
So I was researching it a little bit because I saw this was in the rundown because Spider-Verse comic stuff is kind of a blind spot for me, but it's kind of a more recent revelation in the comics. And it's exactly what it sounds like of like Madam Web and all of these other clairvoyant spider people basically elect Peter Parker, 616 Peter Parker, comic 616 Peter Parker to be the Chosen One. And it's like, we need to protect him and take care of him because otherwise the entire Spider-Verse crumbles.
Interesting. Well, I'd be kind of surprised if Marvel Studios bet a Chosen One type story like the comics on a character they don't own. But it is interesting how the pendulum has swung because 7 years ago, you would have said, Sony, you need Marvel Studios to get Spider-Man back booming. But now, after the Marvels, after Quantumania, it is definitely a bit more of a challenge for Marvel Studios to guarantee a hit, whereas Spider-Man still, I feel, is one of those characters like Batman. Pretty guaranteed hit no matter what happens, no matter, as long as you have the actor, you have the character. But we'll see. So lots of talk about Spider-Man 4 right now. Nothing absolutely official, nothing confirmed, no word from Marvel Studios or Sony just yet, but there's a lot going on. But there is more word about Avengers movies, and it looks like Kang Dynasty, still on the docket.
I have a like gripe about that in particular, but first I'll get to the news of it all. So Michael Waldron, who wrote Multiverse of Madness, wrote Loki season 1, is apparently writing Avengers 5. He already was on the dock to write Secret Wars. Before we get into kind of how everybody feels about this, the reporting of this has said, oh, it's Kang Dynasty. I'm not necessarily still confident that that is going to be what the movie is actually titled. I think the writing on the wall of Loveness leaving and Destin leaving, I would not be surprised if this movie pivots and it's not ultimately called Kang Dynasty, but I feel like it's way too early for us to really know. But how do you guys feel about this?
I hope you're right, because once they announced those outs, I was like, okay, great. I'm because we talk about Secret Wars so much and how like it's all leading to Secret Wars that I feel like we often just forget that King Dynasty is even happening. Like nothing that we've seen so far has set it up in a way that has, I don't think, any of us excited. That I was like, when they announced it, I was like, oh, so it's still happening. But I like your theory that maybe it's gonna get a title change. But in terms of him writing it, I mean, I'm a big Multiverse of Madness fan, and I love Loki, so I'm like, sure, I'm into it. I have nothing negative to say about that decision.
I think scrap it and just give us Avengers versus X-Men at this point.
Before Secret Wars? That's a lot to get into before Secret Wars.
I mean, I think maybe just make Secret Wars a 2-part movie, because that saga would have to be so large and ambitious, or maybe even just do a more simple Avengers movie, like a more contained Avengers movie. Avengers Age of Ultron, the new edition. Bring together a team that shows a villain that has been created or exists. Give us a good villain, because Aman Vellani says the only way to get people to care about the MCU the way they did before Endgame was to care about characters. Well, we care a lot about these characters already. We need to care about villains too. We need a good villain.
Stop giving away what we can sell, BD. Stop giving away what we can sell.
That wasn't the rundown for the.
Please stop giving away what we can sell, BD.
Is that part?
It is in the rundown. Stop giving away what we can sell, boy.
But I do agree, BD. Like I've seen people a lot of people say Time Runs Out could be a good like Avengers 5. I'm on my mindset of, if you just did Avengers versus Squadron Supreme, that could really like seed the multiverse stuff and still be a very small movie at the end of the day. I think there are a lot of ways that you could still do an Avengers 5 and not have it be Kang Dynasty. And I think like Jamie said, all of these new switcheroos make me kind of hope that that's the direction that they go in.
Young Avengers, that's what I want.
I mean, that'd be good.
The Young Avengers would be cool. Also, I saw a study, and I don't remember the numbers specifically, but young people are not really interested in Marvel movies right now. Like, I think it was the Marvels specifically that the smallest percentage of people were people aged like 8 to 15, and then a really smaller, not smaller than that, but a very small percentage of the audience for the Marvels was aged like 15 to 24 or something, and then 24 and up was like hands down the biggest audience. So I think that those are inevitably going to be factors. And if I somehow remembered that wrong and I'm way off the mark, I apologize.
You're not.
But it was young people don't care for the stuff that they're making for young people. I'm not saying cancel the lighthearted, kid-friendly stuff. I know we got people on this show specifically who love that stuff. I'm not saying make everything R-rated. But if you're going to make a Young Avengers movie, at least make it, instead of acting like the 10-year-olds are the ones who are filling the seats for Marvel. They're not. They're just not right now, at least in terms of the most recent film. You can remember the fact that, adults who grew up on Marvel are adults now, and they want to take their kids to the movies. So you got to remember to make it for everybody in that regard, in some regard. I do want to see Young Avengers. I just hope, I'm a little nervous for Young Avengers, given the reception of some, like the Marvels and some of the other stuff that they've made that has been clearly geared towards a younger audience.
I will bang the drum until the cows come home of just like the marketing is what failed that, getting that younger audience. But we won't get into that whole debate again.
But those first trailers for the Marvels were 100% geared toward a younger audience. It looked
they could have skewed even more like family oriented than those trailers even did.
I
That
agree with
last
Marcus.
trailer was for you, B.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Yeah.
Like,
Because they went for the young people, didn't get them, and then they were like, "Well, crap, maybe we should
Yeah,
actually go for the adults who consume this stuff."
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
John-
you also have money, John
Yeah.
Mulaney style. You're
John
not
Brown
very
is in the
stressed.
comments and saying, wait until the Marvels hits Disney Plus, and I think that'll be a better indication. Because I
I'm
think
telling you,
if
he's
like once
right.
it hits Disney Plus, there's a very good chance that younger audiences will actually care. I do think about that pretty often of like, I will just see, like, I'll be out on a walk and I'll see like a kid with a like Hulk backpack, and I'll be like, they were not even born until like phase 2 of the MCU. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
trying to compartmentalize and rationalize like how this franchise works for them is really wild. And I do think that is a larger problem of like, they need to appeal to the younger generation even further. But I think there are ways to do it. It's just they're not marketing them.
Yeah, that's a bigger conversation, I suppose.
I'd like to throw out that I just saw it for the third time, and
She did?
it brought me so much joy a third time.
Okay.
Just want to put that out into the universe.
We love to see it. And then also on the Secret Wars front, Daniel RPK is saying that Sam Raimi might be one of the names that's in consideration either for Secret Wars or for Kang Dynasty. How do we feel about this? I know how Jamie feels because she and I are the two who like Multiverse of Madness the most.
I just love Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Like, he's an amazing. I love his stuff, and if Waldron's back, it makes sense. So
I'll be straight up. I don't want it. And I could be proven wrong. Sam Raimi could direct Secret Wars and whatever, and Avengers 5, and I could come in here and be like, "Wow, banger job." But after Multiverse of Madness, y'all know I'm a big Russo brothers fan, not just because of Anthony and Joe as human beings. Like, I think they're cool, they're fine, whatever. They make funny jokes about Martin Scorsese, but I think that they did such a good job, and also the unsung heroes for the Russo brothers were Marcus and McFeely. But so Michael Waldron is also part of that in the Multiverse of Madness kind of thing. I'm pulling from here for this point. There's just no denying that they made every character matter from Civil War to Endgame. When they had massive ensembles, you had the levels to it in Civil War where every single character had a meaningful arc and they had a meaningful story and they had meaningful moments, some more than others. Obviously, Cap and Iron Man were at the top of that. Scarlet or Wanda before she was Scarlet Witch and Vision had a kind of a paired arc. You had Black Panther and Spider-Man kind of had the smallest arcs, but still they had their big moments. You had Natasha and Hawkeye. You had different levels to every character mattering, and it got bigger and bigger as it expanded into Infinity War and Endgame. And I didn't feel like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness gave us really all that much to really get invested in terms of different characters and levels to them. Sam Raimi is incredibly stylish, undeniably stylish.
I don't agree with that, what you said at all, but I also want to, nope. But I also do want to say, like, as I agree what you said about the Russo brothers and what they've brought, but I don't want them back for Secret Wars because I want something different.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I need the Russo brothers.
That's what I thought you were pitching them. It sounded like you were pitching them to come back.
I will also make the devil's advocate argument that, because I know it was like Xochitl Gomez said on Instagram at one point of like Multiverse of Madness went through a lot of rewrites, like from what we have heard and what we understand. We know about the Balder the Brave of it all. We know about the cameos that were added at the very last minute. So I will argue it's probably somewhere in the middle, but I think that probably Sam Raimi still like did what he could in the context of what that movie needed to be for Marvel Studios as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think we need the Russo brothers. I'd rather have Moorhead and Benson than Sam Raimi. After Loki, incredible.
I do have questions though. Part of what made the MCU in the first 3 phases so interesting is that it's all these different perspectives. What do you lose by one guy and one set of writers doing everything?
Wait, what?
Like, if you have that would be Aaron Moorhead and them doing what? Like, they're doing Loki. They did Loki, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing Daredevil again as well?
They did Moon Knight.
They did Moon Knight. They would be doing Avengers.
Yeah.
You're losing a lot of stylistic diversity along the way here.
Did you feel that we lost stylistic diversity in the Infinity Saga?
Well, the Russos only did Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, right?
And
Winter Soldier. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Civil War and Winter Soldier are Captain America 2 and 3, so that makes sense. But the Avengers movies, to their credit, it did feel like Endgame feels like a slightly different movie than Infinity War. Probably because Thanos is the freaking protagonist and then the antagonist for the other side. But yeah, I don't know.
I'll even argue that Loki season 2 feels dramatically different from Moon Knight. And we'll see what they do with Daredevil. But I mean, listen, we don't know who's going to direct this thing. I see everybody's point. Sam Raimi, I think Sam Raimi's a great director. I just wasn't a huge Multiverse of Madness fan, and I'm not a big camp person in general. And Sam Raimi is exceptionally good at style and like camp in those ways, and that's not my thing personally.
I'd like to say whatever this first maybe Kang whatever Avengers is for him, great. I'm not saying he should get Secret Wars because I do think that that's would be a lot with his style. But I hope he comes back because I mean I love the Evil Dead movies. Like you don't like camp. That's my bread and butter right there.
That said, I love Spider-Man 1 and 2. So and I think Spider-Man 3 has its highlights. And with that, we're going to take a quick 1-minute break. And when we come back, there is quite a bit of news to talk through. So we got through I didn't expect these to be such debated topics here, but we need to take a break. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we got more MCU news to talk about, from Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool 3 to Agatha Darkhold Diaries. Elektra. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Elektra. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to Phase Zero, Season 3, Episode 48, where we're about to talk to Chris Evans. Oh man, imagine if we were like, surprise!
He's been sitting backstage for this whole debate for half an hour.
Listening. Chris, what do you think about Avengers 5 being directed by Sam Raimi? No, Chris Evans addressed the reports that the original 6 Avengers are being considered for a return to the MCU. Where did he say this? On The View. I didn't watch it, but I read the quote. I'm not going to try Chris Evans' impression here. He just is too handsome of a voice, even though he's from Boston. Go Yankees, though. I always see those reports, too, and it's news to me. I think every couple months someone says that they're getting Downey and Hemsworth and Scarlett and everyone's coming back. No one's spoken to me about it, end quote. Lies. Well, no, I believe him. I believe nobody has really come to him and said, hey, here's like a hard, concrete offer. Here's what we want to do. But, I mean, they're coming back. Can we all stop?
It feels inevitable. It's also funny because I remember like a couple summers ago, there was like a rumor that had some tangible credibility to it that was like, oh, Chris Evans is going to come back and he's going to be in multiple projects and maybe a Cap Wolverine movie and whatever. And it's like, no, nobody has spoken to him apparently, according to what he's saying. But I absolutely believe they're going to come back in Secret Wars in some capacity.
Yeah. I remember that Deadline article though from like 2020 or 2021. It must have been 2021 because we were doing this show, I think, at that point, where Deadline said he's coming back as Captain America, and it was unclear what project, and he tweeted news to me. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I'm real curious about what's going on with Chris Evans and the Avengers returning. But at this point, it seems so widely expected that they are going to play their roles in some form in Secret Wars that it's just accepted that it's true. And it's not yet, which maybe we're setting ourselves up. You know, we talk about temper expectations. Aaron's always the one to go, whoa, BD, slow it down for your own good, buddy. I hear you. I hear your voices. I hear voices in my head. The greatest wrestling return of the week. Nobody wants to acknowledge it, but that's true. But I think they're coming back, and I think it's just a matter of time, but maybe they're just not signed on the dotted line yet. Right?
They're all liars.
Thank you, baby. Jesus.
I need someone to clip that.
Yeah, they'll be back. That's really all there is to it. They'll be back. And real quick, I'm just gonna throw this in here. It's because on the fact we're talking about liars, I still love her. Jennifer Garner was asked hypothetically about whether or not she's returning as Elektra in Deadpool 3. And what was the quote? She said, "Not that I'm aware of." Jennifer, I love you. You're lying.
Apparently she was smiling the whole time that she was saying that. So like that is all she needed to do was wink practically and it would seal the deal. She's
Jennifer Garner's like too you like we know she's just the sweetie. Like I'm sure like it kills her to lie at all. Like so to do it with a big smile on her face I think is as secretive as she's gonna get.
Yeah. So Elektra's coming back. Woo! But Jennifer Garner is playing the I don't know card. So everybody's lying. Literally everyone's in the MCU. No one is not. And if they say they're not, they are. We're moving on.
Wesley Snipes, let's go.
he needs to be in Deadpool 3, I thought over the weekend. So we got whispers of season 2 for a bunch of the Disney Plus shows from Daniel RPK, who's featured heavily earlier in this show. We got rumored season 2s for Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel. No word on Hawkeye. No word on some of the other mainstays. I know there's Hawkeye Nation in the comments is probably like, what the heck? But hopefully we get to see them in Young Avengers. And with this sort of refocusing towards having other elements in longer seasons, what is everybody excited about the prospect of season 2s for all 3 of these?
Yes. Stop introducing so many new characters every year.
I'm with Jenna in that I'm really hyped for more She-Hulk because that is TV.
That's what I was gonna say is that like we talked about all of the hullabaloo with like the way that they're changing their TV strategy a couple months ago, and I think under that new strategy, letting these characters shine in second seasons is a great idea. Like Jamie said, She-Hulk was the most like a TV show outside of WandaVision, and I think Moon Knight and Miss Marvel have the capacity to run for multiple seasons if they really want to just cover as many stories as humanly possible. So I am very hyped for this.
Go ahead, Edie.
I mean, I agree. I think that all of the Disney Plus shows, save for maybe like Secret Invasion, are things that I am down for more of, if not very excited for more of in some regards. And I think it's just going to be it's necessary to spend more time with these characters than introduce 5 more in the next 16 months. That's how you get people with the Iman Vellani quote we're about to bring up later in the show.
I wanted to ask a question to the panel too. Some of our fans brought up on Twitter. Would you like to see Moon Knight be a spotlight thing so it can be MA?
Oh.
Would it has to be to spotlight equal MA? Can it not be?
I don't think so.
It's so undefined. I don't
Wonder
know.
Man, we don't know if Wonder Man's going to be MA or not. Like we just know. I think if anything, Spotlight is going to be more new characters, more accessible things that aren't connected to the larger canon, and they might be like shorter episode orders. But I don't know.
I don't think Spotlight means MA and MA means Spotlight. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but I think Daredevil's not going to be Spotlight, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be MA.
Okay.
I'm down for more special presentations and less shows.
Yeah.
To be honest, less spotlights, more special presentations. But listen, 6 hours of Echo, cool if it's good. You know, that trailer was great, but if it was a special presentation after they went 2 for 2, I might even be a little bit more excited than I already am after that trailer.
Make it easier for us to cover it.
Yeah.
Sheesh, you're not kidding.
Also, some of us do want Wonder Man to be TVMA, Jamie.
you know that. Oh, Aaron has my number.
Poor BD. He's just sitting here.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm with you on there. I'm with you on that. I just need to say that for the record.
Yes.
I have no idea what
BD,
happened.
we're talking about Steam, baby.
What's happening right now?
We're talking about Wonder Man having a romance with a certain character who has been talked about a lot on this show, who he canonically has a relationship with.
Who are y'all trying to see Yaya kissing?
I'll let Jamie say it. Jamie.
Scarlet Witch.
Oh.
They're smooching. Yeah. And if it's TVMA, they're smooching.
What, man, sex went so well in the Eternal. Dear.
The show's not TV. Our show isn't TVMA. I gotta
It's
be
not.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Is that a good segue into our
Yes.
next?
It is.
1,000%,
It
yes.
sure is.
Amazing, because the moment I've been waiting years for finally happened, and the WandaVision Steelbook is out. I've left it in the living room. I wish I had it to show you and display because it's beautiful. And but one of the cool things that was on there was a little special feature, like a making of kind of thing, that ended with some Agatha footage, and I think we've got it to play.
I love the fact that Steelbooks are coming with special features now.
Mm-hmm.
What were
Yeah.
the takeaways from this footage?
Patti LuPone looks awesome was my biggest takeaway. I wish we got some Plaza in there, but I'm so hyped for Patti LuPone. And it's funny because it still says Coven of Chaos, and I think some people were like, it's back to that title, but I think that this was just made before. But also Aaron and I think others really believe that these title changes are a bit, and it has to do with her living in this sitcom world still, because one of the deleted scenes on here was a really quick one of like the police, whatever, at the end of WandaVision checking up on her as Agnes now, and it has some laugh track in the background. So I think we are meeting Agatha still in a sitcom world because she is still under the spell, but I think it's going to break as soon as that mountain fell down. I think that's how it's going to I think that's what's going to happen. That's my theory.
Oh, I like that theory.
Yeah.
I like that theory. So Agatha is free out here, possibly wreaking havoc in the world.
And these costumes, ugh.
Can I just say the absolute confusion that I had, because I was off last week. I was off when these images started coming around online, and I was like, where are these from? And is this even legal? And then like finding out through a lot of Twitter searching that like, oh, this was a deleted like bonus feature on the Steelbook. This is legal. This is approved. I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. Like I can be excited now.
This
I had the same thing.
Yeah.
This does feel like one of the last shows or titles that's going to be from the everyone gets a show era. If that makes sense. Like if you go back earlier, Agatha, I mean, if you go to the Infinity Saga, there wasn't going to be an Agatha movie. And now that they're slowing things down, this does feel like one of those projects that they would have not made an entire series of now. Because in 2021, everybody was watching everything Marvel did. So this one feels like we're lucky to be getting it because they wouldn't have done it in the current Marvel climate.
I think you're right, and Jamie Jirak keeps on winning.
That's right.
I will also make the devil's advocate argument of like, this is the closest we're getting to WandaVision season 2. And like WandaVision in and of itself was successful enough to get Emmy nominations and a lot of attention. And so I totally get why they struck while the iron was hot. I don't necessarily think that we'll be doing that in this sort of lateral spinoff sort of way ever again. But I think there is more to the show existing than just like, oh, we're giving everyone a show.
Oh, sure. I mean, I feel like if Loki season 2 happened 2 years ago, they might have been like, we're doing an Ouroboros show. It's an exaggeration, but I do think in the current climate, they're scaling back, and they were scaling up when WandaVision came out, and Agatha was such a successful character there. They were like, let's just keep doing more of what works. Whatever, if everything that works really well, let's do it. And now it's like, wow, that might be working, but let's pump the brakes.
Shout out to Joe Locke being in here too. I wonder who he's playing. Also, as well, I would say in the featurette they talk about it, and I guess Feige pointed out immediately, like, you guys thinking about doing anything with Agatha? Like, before any of us saw, before anybody knew, he knew something special was going on here, and I think it will be an interesting test of people on the internet who love to say that no one cares about WandaVision. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. We're going to see.
Feige gets it. Kevin Feige knows. All right, y'all. We're going to take one more quick break. Great opportunity to subscribe to the Phase Zero channel. We got 15 minutes left, and they might be the best 15 minutes. Who knows? Because we're talking about Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, Iman Vellani, and Beast. See you in a moment. Welcome back to Phase Zero. I want to shout out Joe watching it work. Joe, we appreciate you. I saw the tweet. Average Joe is blocking out people with our show. We love you for it. Thank you. We hope you're having a good time. All right, we got a few more pieces of news here. Ryan Reynolds talked about Taylor Swift cameo in Deadpool 3. Pretty much all he said was he loves that theory. I mean, she's in the movie. Let's be honest. She's in the damn movie. Like, nothing more to say. Is there anything else?
I will bang this drum over and over again. Like, she is extremely close to Ryan and Blake. She is basically an aunt to all of their children. Their children are characters in some of her songs. Like, if there was ever an instance for her to be in a superhero thing, it was going to be this. So
straight up, this is the guy who got the Captain America shield and a lightsaber and a Hulk hand into Free Guy. He got Hugh Jackman to do a voice cameo. Him and Sean Levy, like, people like working with Ryan Reynolds. Taylor Swift is awesome. She could outsell Spider-Man No Way Home herself in a weekend. So why not throw her in the movie? And I believe she would do it, probably not for like $1 zillion, probably because it would be a fun thing. And I think it happened. And Deadpool 3 is currently filming again. It has officially started filming again. And Layla is going to fall over. She's going to bring her dog Pedro to the theater. They're both going to be sleeping because we know Pedro is sleeping during the show today. Well, I said play our show for your dog at the end of every show, and Layla said bet. So Taylor Swift, all but confirmed in Deadpool 3, in my opinion.
I'm just happy it's starting to film again, because after Sean Levy talked about how they only filmed half the movie, like, again, I've always said that, you know, when people are speculating about what may or may not be in this movie, we only had half a movie up until this week. So I'm glad that they're getting the ball rolling again.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving because we're running out of time here.
Okay. Charlie Cox thought that Vincent D'Onofrio was delusional about Daredevil return, which is interesting. Delulu talk on Phase Zero. I really thought that ship had sailed, you know. I thought it was over. It had been a couple of years since Daredevil was canceled. What I didn't know was there was an embargo on that. So there was an amount of time, I think it was probably 2 years after the show was canceled before Disney and Marvel could approach us. So he's like laughing with his friend for being a true believer while he thought it was all over. But we're so back. We're so very back. Everybody happy that you get to see Daredevil and Kingpin maybe sooner than we all think in the MCU again.
I think this is hilarious. I think Charlie Cox loves this world and this job and the people in it so much. He told us a hilarious story about him and Andrew Garfield both being in Spider-Man. But I'm going to leave that because it wasn't in an interview. But man, the lengths these people go to keep it a secret, but to also have fun together. And I think Charlie genuinely loves working with these people. And I think he believed it was over until it wasn't. And I'm happy they're back.
Everybody's just content. Look at that.
Yeah. There's nothing else to say. We're just happy about it.
We're not here to argue about Charlie Cox's happiness.
We have already debated so much.
If Jim was here, somehow that would happen, but he's not.
10 seconds with Gardy.
There it is.
Oh my gosh. So Aman Vellani, friend of the show, has some good points about how to kind of build the MCU back up. She did an interview with The Direct, and she said, I don't know if it's about just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because then, like, what's left? You know, I think it's just about making the audience care about their characters. And I think they've established so many wonderful characters in the last phase of the MCU that it would be nice to see them all again and see them team up. BD already spoiled this earlier on in the show, but we can talk about it now here. I completely agree with her. And I think that the way that she worded this is completely accurate.
I agree. I think we need to care about the characters, and the season 2s that we just talked about are going to go a long way in doing that. But I also think villains, the Marvels would have been a better movie if it had a better villain. So I think like Iron Man 2, I love Tony Stark already. I love the character of Iron Man. The movie's not great because the villain of it, well, I won't insult your boy. I know, but Iron Man 2 could have been a better movie for a number of reasons. But a fantastically performed villain was great, but it needed a bit more of the substance to the story.
You and Jamie are just beefing every week. Oh my gosh.
Is he trying to rag on?
Absolutely not. Justin Hammer is a tremendously acted role. Say Darben's performance was not the problem.
Sure, but I wouldn't compare those two.
BD is just preparing for tomatoes to be thrown. Moving on. So Iman also teased Marvel Zombies, which I keep forgetting this project exists. Honestly, like I had a moment a couple weeks ago of like, oh yeah, Marvel Zombies is supposed to be a thing. So while also speaking to the direct, she said, we've done the whole thing. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And I love, there's a lot of cool characters in the Marvel Zombies show. And Kamala is kind of the center of the show. They described it to me. It's like, she's basically the Frodo of the story. And I was like, that's amazing. I love that. I love her being the kind of audience proxy for what is going to be a very violent, very gruesome zombies thing. How do we feel about this?
Into it. I'm not really a big zombie person, but I mean, it sounds cool.
Hell yeah. I think it's great. I think Iman Vellani should be a freaking writer and producer in the MCU at this point. She's got great takes. Let her write. Let her help the ship get even more righted. I think she's in touch with the audience. I think she loves the characters. I wish all of the actors loved the characters they play as much as Iman Vellani and Tom Hiddleston love their characters and the work they get to do with them. And I'm not saying they hate or don't care, but every once in a while you hear a quote like, well, I was poor, I didn't want to do one of those movies, but I just did it to make a few bucks. And it's like, well, damn, that makes me kind of appreciate your work a little bit less. But honestly, that's honesty. It is what it is. It's the tone, it's context. But if you love the character and you love the work you're doing, I think it comes through more than if you don't care and kind of admit that as well. But
I just want to say she's far too young to be thinking back on 2019 wistfully. Girl, there are man-made horrors beyond your comprehension coming. At some point, we're gonna be looking at 2021 to 2023, like, oh yeah, that was great. I remember I just sat inside with my friends and ate popcorn at midnight watching Falcon Winter Soldier. It was great. I don't know. There's so much of the fan base that just wants it to be the past. And I mean, I hope for you it works. Marvel Zombies sounds like fun because, 18-year-old Aaron Perine was reading them in Barnes & Noble and getting chased out because I wouldn't buy anything. So that sounds like dope times. Also, anything from Marvel Animation where they still get to make stuff and we don't just go, oh, yes, we announced this. Where's Iman and... Could you tell me something about Spider-Man freshman year? Like, can you do that?
That doesn't exist.
It's a Schrodinger's box.
Schrodinger's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Miguel's gonna kill him too. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it all works out. Hopefully.
Do we have any idea when Marvel Zombies is coming?
Nope.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, spoilers for the Marvels.
Spoilers for the Marvels. Oh, goodness. Kelsey Grammer. He's confident that a Beast return is happening again. He told The Wrap, it's my hope that you will. I can say with a certain amount of confidence that you will. I would love to. I love this. You guys know how I feel about new Frasier reaction just dropped on TikTok, everybody. It's funny because I was just talking to Tony, and Tony was like, after mulling it over, I don't like that end credit scene. I want new X-Men in the MCU. And I'm like, dude, yeah, that's inevitable, but we're clearly working to Secret Wars. We're going to get the old X-Men. Then that chapter is finally going to be closed after 25 years. And then obviously, inevitably down the line, MCU is going to get their own original versions of the X-Men. I personally believe that's what I think is happening. But I want to see Kelsey Grammer again because every time I see him it makes me laugh and I love it. What do you guys think?
I agree with you. And I love your Kelsey Grammer impression. That's all I have to add.
Thank you.
I could see a few of the X-Men cast possibly continuing in their roles as main MCU characters, and Kelsey Grammer being one because they made the character CGI. I think these movies would benefit from less visual effects and more practical effects. I know they have the talent there. We saw it how many years ago where they already made a practical beast. I'm for that, but I do think that this sort of CGI version of the character allows for Kelsey Grammer to more easily play the role going forward. But then again, maybe they do just recast everyone after Secret Wars. Who knows? I think we still don't even know what these movies look like if Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars are kind of working in tandem anymore. But I think Avengers vs. X-Men is what they're secretly building towards, and that is going to call for the original X-Men and then eventually a new X-Men after that with almost entirely, if not entirely, new cast members, but maybe a couple who want to stick around another 15 years.
I felt like this was a tease for Deadpool.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to see him next year. Like, in Jamie's case, she's already seeing him every week because Fraser's on Paramount Plus. That's right. But yeah, I don't like. How old is Kelsey Grammer?
Oh, he's in his 60s.
Yeah. Oh man, God bless him if he wants to get up out of bed every day and be beast at 70 years old. More power to you. That's dope. I wish I cared
He's
about
68.
anything.
Wow.
So by the time Secret
Whoa.
Wars comes around, he will be in his 70s.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah.
I was just being funny. I didn't mean it.
Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana were like, stop painting us. And they're not 68. So I imagine the CGI is also like Kelsey Grammer's gotten to the point where it's like, listen.
But he also only did it once for a full movie and then one brief cameo. Like he didn't do it for as long as those guys did.
Sure.
That's true.
And his one full movie sucked. So
I'm sure for him as an actor, it's like a different muscle that you get to like stretch. So I'm sure like he probably still would do it if it is easy as like, getting in a mocap machine and just getting it done.
I want more practical stuff. I want practical Spider-Man suits, to be honest with you. But I know I'm picky. I'm annoying. I whine and complain. Shut up, everybody.
practical forever.
Yeah,
Somebody make a
completely
t-shirt
agree.
that says practical effects and I'd wear it every day. Like
How many practical suits would you have to make one Spider-Man movie if they made 7 for each Eternal? How many you talk about? We talking about 35?
They made 7 for each Eternal because they were running out of time. They're supposed to have like 14 apparently.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
Something like that. 11 to 14 for each, and then they like cut it close with 7 on Eternals. That is not the usual pace. They were rushing through Eternals on that set, which was crazy because they ended up not even having to rush because the movie got so delayed. But obviously, there was no way to know that. They were trying to hit a deadline. But I'm all for some practical suits, man.
Somewhere Graham Churchyard is just like, Jesus, Brandon, try to kill me. Just like 28 Spider-Man suits. So that when Tom can't get out of it to pee, he just rips one. He's like, oh, there's another one.
Get back to work.
Get back to work.
All right, y'all. Well, that's our show today. Thank you so much for hanging with us to talk about Spider-Man, Avengers, the Marvel world of it all. Jenna, any last words for the people?
It's at Hey It's Jenna Lynn on social media. As always, go read some comics. Iman Vellani's final issue of her first Miss Marvel miniseries came out this week, and they already announced the sequel, so we'd love to see that. And yeah, just go read some comics and tune into our bonus episode on Friday.
Jamie Chirac.
Yeah, real quick, because it didn't come up earlier with the WandaVision stuff. I do need to say that in the WandaVision Steelbook, there's a deleted scene where Evan Peters is sneakily running behind Wu with an ankle monitor on his ankle. And to me, that is confirmation that he is the missing witness. His name is not Ralph Boner, and that is why he laughed at his own name. I feel validated, even if it didn't spell it out. To me, that's what that means, and I'm sticking by it. At Jamie Chirac. Follow me on places.
Redemption for Ralph Boner, maybe? Not from me. Aaron?
It's at Something Like Horn on Twitter. I want to thank everybody for sending through those Spotify raps. It is wild to see people listen to your voice for that long. I would not advise it, but keep them coming because, all the serotonin feels great. Yeah. We will retweet and repost some of them,
Exactly. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for what has been an incredible 11 months throughout 2023. We got another month left. We got a bonus episode on Friday. Looking back at an episode from earlier in the year. I won't be there. I'm headed down to Brazil. So if you want to see what I see from CCXP, make sure you follow me on social media. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Phase Zero channel on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review. Play our show for your mom. Play it for your dog. And have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everyone.